Nothing like a savory meal before or after the game hunt. Look at this, the 3 cheese gyudon at Sukiya. Heck yeah. Anyhow, let's go ahead and hit it. And here we are at the Momotaro Kingdom in Chiba, this time in the city of Goi, I believe. Off in the distance is the Sukiya, but let's go ahead, not waste any time, and head inside. And right away, the Switch 2, 58,800 yen. Now, this is the first time that I see a Switch 2, I believe that's a used one, at any shop in Japan. And as a matter of fact, yesterday I was out at another Surugaya and I saw someone purchasing a Switch 2. So perhaps that's a good sign that they're going to be more common out this way. But we saw a couple special edition 3DSs, normal edition 3DS. Here we got the Monster Hunter one coming in at 24,000 yen. We got a loose LL there for 16,000. And I believe that's the new 3DS LL. We got some GBAs. What's that price? 12,000 there. Seems to be the average asking price. Now, this Momotaro Kingdom is bigger than the one that I previously visited, but the prices are they're going to be a little bit more higher, but the inventory is just as rich, so to speak. And this is the showcase, of course, stuff in the showcase is going to be the most expensive, but we're going to take a look anyway. Quite a bit of Master System games there. And some Sega Genesis games in the back. We got some Pokemon front and center. What do we have there? Gunstar Heroes for the Mega Drive. 14,000 next to Moonwalker for 22. We got Afterburner on the Master System for 35 and some change. They had Thunder Force 4 for 11,000. And then they had a copy of Zero Wing for 12,000 with a 100 yen discount. Now, the Momotaro Kingdom also had Zero Wing. The other one in Kisarazu, but they had it for far less. It was like about 6,900 if memory serves me right. So quite a bit of a difference there. We got Castlevania Chronicles for 9,000. Absolutely love that game. We got Mars Matrix 11,000 next to Ikaruga 8,800 yen and Giga Wing 2 for 7,200. All of those being for the Sega Dreamcast. Then they got Lane, LSD, high profile games, 100,000 for Lane, 90,000 for LSD, and then Double Steel, the second Clash for 12,000 on the OG Xbox. That's definitely one that I want, but not a priority. And they had Air Zonk there for 12,600 yen. That one really shot up in price in the last few years. But then we have Terraforming for the PC Engine, as well as Dracula X for 18,000. And then what's this game here? I've seen this one before, and it's kind of like an action platformer type of game, if I'm not mistaken, for the PC Engine. That was coming in at 33,000. And then Menesque, 10,000. Yeah, that's kind of interesting cover. That could be like a visual novel. I don't know. Haven't seen that one before. And then more DS, Sega Genesis, or Mega Drive. We got some loose hue cards. We're just going to keep making our way here. Now, this is going to be a lengthy episode because there was definitely a lot to see. They had Galaga 88, the hue card only for 1,700 yen. And the next episode, you'll see that you can definitely find it for a lot less in complete edition. Now, the big one here is going to be KO2 for 10,000. And the little tag there just says that it has some scratches, but they got Rabbit here. That's a fighting game for 20,000 yen. That's one that I don't often see, and I believe it was published by Electronic Arts. And then Gal Act Heroism for 12,000 yen. I haven't heard of that one. Elevator Action Returns. We have Nocturne Dracula X. We have Groove On Fight for 13,000 with the 500 yen discount. Now, this is a fighting game from the Power Instinct series. And I do want to pick up a copy of that. And then we have Seiyu. This is an adult game for 3,500. We got Hyper Duel for 58,000 next to Thunder Force 5 for 10,000. And then Blast Wind, 37,000. The little notes there, they just say that it includes like the postcard or the registration card. Here we have the Arcade Gears Image Fight X Multiply for 28,000. For a while, that one was hovering upwards of like 40,000. So some interesting Sega Saturn titles. I did pick up KO2, by the way. I was thinking about this, the Image Fight and X Multiply, but that's way out of my budget. And this one too, Blast Wind. those are on my wish list. And sooner or later, as I slowly undo or curate the collection, just kind of selling off stuff. Neo Geo CD, what am I talking about? 70,000, the 32X, 48,000. The Neo Geo CDZ, that's kind of a cool, interesting box because it's like both generic but unique at the same time. We have Makaimura for Wonder Swan for 22,000. At the previous location, at the previous Momotaro Kingdom, it was 12,000. So 10,000 was the difference between the two. Condition could play a role in that, but that's quite a bit of a difference. And what are these? Some Game Boy Lights, or at least the silver one there. 33,000 for a Neo Geo Pocket Color. And then we have Ghostbusters, the cart only there for 4,200. 20,000, 25,000 for the Swan Crystal. And then quite a few more Neo Geo Pockets and Pocket Color. Love that little handheld. Still have mine. Play it from time to time. And let's just keep making our way. Now, I did miss some stuff just because it was quite a bit to... there's a lot of stuff in here. This is like their little Pokemon shrine. And then we have Zelda Majora's Mask, the big box edition for 18,000. And look at the prices there for Pokemon. They were mostly all of them were above 10,000. Like 13,000 seems to be the average price. We got some loose carts with Metroid 2 for 3,000, Ninja Gaiden for 6,500 yen. And that's actually a really enjoyable game on the Game Boy. It's one that I keep coming back to. I haven't beaten it yet, but I get fairly close. Rockman World 5 for 3,000. I do have a copy of that. We got DuckTales 2 for 2,500 yen. So a lot of great little action platformers. They also had a few Game Boy Advance games in the mix, as well as within the stacks. But anyhow, let's see, what do we have? We got more Pokemon stuff. This is a lot of Game Boy Advance with 12,000 for the fire one, whatever that is. 6,000 and 5. I don't even know, guys, these characters. There's too many to keep track of. Well, what else do we have? We have Metroid 2, and then Kid Dracula on the Game Boy, 49,000. And then they have, what is that up above? Parodius for 12,000. I did see that one loose cart at Guru Guru and Tatebayashi, and I should have picked it up because it was under 1,000 yen, but it was loose cart, which is fine. Golden Axe 3 loose cart, 8,500 yen. They had a Jewel Master there for 3,300. 4,000 for the loose cart of old Streets of Rage. And then here we have the loose carts for the Super Famicom, 2,700 for 02, which is a great game. Go-Go Ackerman 2,000, the little UFO beat 'em up game, 2,500. Gundam Wing for 3,100 yen. You can't find that one loose for about 500 yen less at a book off if you're lucky. Well, actually no, because the prices that I'm quoting do include that 10% sales tax. 4,900 for Super Aleste, and Fire Emblem, the loose cart for 32,000. That's one of the more rare RPG games, strategy RPG. I don't even know what kind of genre Fire Emblem is. I've never played one, but that Fire Emblem version of Super Famicom, super expensive. But these prices that I'm quoting do include the 10% sales tax. Now, my understanding is this is not a tax-free store, a tax-free shop. 8,700 yen for Kiki Kai Kai, better known as Pocky and Rocky in the West. Excellent game by Natsume. And then they also had X-Men by Capcom for 2,000 and some change there, maybe 2,200. Then Hammering Harry, and then Goof Troop for 2,400 yen. Which I do like that Goof Troop game by Capcom. It's a good time. We got Area 88 for 11,000. Now that game, complete in the box, you can find it for like 6,000 and some change. 11,000 for Super Metroid. Demon's Blazon for 33,000. And 58,000 there. That's going to be for Spriggan Powered, which is a shooter. And that's one that I don't often see. So that's kind of a rare bird there. And then we got Super VG. That's a fighting game for 8,300 yen. I believe that's also available on the Switch now. And then CIB for Street Fighter 02 for 18,000. Pokemon XD for the GameCube for 10,000. Here we have Kiki Kai Kai in the box for 45,000 yen, but it does not include the manual, and it is a bit sun faded. They also had Ninja Gaiden Trilogy in the back there for 31,000. Not sure what this game is published by Imagineer, but kind of a surreal cover art there. I've seen it before, 8,500 yen. And this store had quite a bit of these adult rated games, which could be questionable, but you know, they got them. 44,000 there for the King of Fighters 98. And when I think back to it, they did have a number of like adult rated games within the stacks, and you know, just kind of littered throughout the store. And then 33,000. What the heck is that? That's a pricey one for the Super Famicom. Anyhow, let's keep making our way. But they had some pretty decent deals, you know, outside of the showcase there. Here we have Game Boy Advance, and I'm going to be bouncing all over the place. What do we have here? We have Phoenix Wright 3 for 1,600 yen. Kind of a cool little foily type of cover. Although I recommend getting like the newer releases of those Phoenix Wright games. We got Star Wars Episode 1 Racer for 3,500 for the N64. Star Fox 64 in the big box, 6,500 with the 500 yen discount. And then Castlevania 64 coming in at 7,100 yen, which is definitely far more than what I'm used to seeing, but it did include a 20% discount. Got House of the Dead 2 and 3 for the Wii for 4,000 and some change. And House of the Dead Overkill, 4,300 yen. I still don't have a copy of that. And then Ghost Squad for 1,100 yen, which unfortunately does not have English language options. And then Dead Space Extraction. So a lot of light gun games there for the Wii, which, you know, every now and then I do like the light gun games. But after playing them for like, you know, over like close to an hour, my freaking arms start getting tired. You'll know how it goes with the shooters, the light gun shooters. Then we have, what is that? Sonic Advance 2 Battle for the GameCube. And then Zelda Twilight Princess. And then we got Sonic the Mega Collection for 2,800 yen. Now, the Twilight Princess, I'm not sure. I missed the Nintendo Direct, but I saw somebody post an image of Twilight as well as Wind Waker, but that could have been like fake news type of stuff. Choo Choo Rocket for the Game Boy Advance, also available on the Sega Dreamcast. That's a fun little like action puzzle type of game. And then Skyward Sword for 8,000 yen. You know, I still have that for the Switch. And Super Mario Galaxy 2, 1,600 yen. I paid 50 yen for mine. And that one is confirmed coming to the Switch along with the first one. With the first one originally being a part of the 3D All-Stars, if I'm not mistaken. We have Biohazard Revelations. Super Mario Bros. U for 500 yen. But not a bad selection there for the Wii and the Wii U. We got NFL Madden Football there for 1,200 yen. This is going to be for the 3DO, and that could be very well be the first iteration. And then we have Gex for 6,300. And this soccer game, but if you notice, all three of those games have pretty bad sun fading, which most likely came from like a Showa era toy shop, game shop. Those places were kind of notorious for the way they stored games. But here we have Return Fire, 4,000 yen. I would like to play that one day. And Sonic Wings 2 there for the Neo Geo CD, 4,800 yen there for Art of Fighting 3, and then Garou Special for 2,900 yen. And then Galaxy Fight, this is one that I do want, 4,500 yen with a 10% discount. You know, I'm curious about that one. It is a part of the Hamster Arcade Archives, but I'd rather play it on the Neo Geo CD. So I'm going to have to wait until I find it for about 2,000 yen. 2,000 there for Darwin 4081, a shooting game. And then here we have the Sega Mega Drive stacks with the old Peacock King there for part 2, 3,300 yen, with the original game being released for the Famicom, which they also had. We'll take a look at it later, I believe. We have Golden Axe there, 5,500 yen, but not a bad selection for Mega Drive. You know, it's good to see that they actually have stuff. We have Garou there, XDR, and then look at the cover of Echo the Dolphin 2. Kind of reminds me of those Lisa Frank Trapper Keepers from the 90s. 2,400 400 yen there for the original. I think the original has the better cover as well. Echo the Dolphin. Also, I believe, the Dreamcast got one game. I'm not sure if there was two on the Dreamcast, but it definitely got one. And I'm kind of curious about Echo the Dolphin. I have one. I have the Sega CD version, but it's out in the States, my copy. Then they had Aladdin there for 7,200. Outrun for 7,500, but the spine was a bit faded, unfortunately. You got to be careful with the Sega Mega Drive stuff because it's really prone to have a sun fading on the spines there. Space Harrier 2. I haven't heard a lot of great things about this one. I believe it was like an early launch title, and that's coming in at 3,000. We got Super Thunder Force there. Super League for 1,700. I do like that cover there for Super League. Kind of an action sports shot. Thunder Force 2, 4,300 yen. I would like to play that, but I think I'm going to hold off to get the Gold Pack Volume 1 for the Sega Saturn. And then the Super Shinobi, 6,800 yen. I have the Sega CD version, but that's the one that has heavy edits. We got Golden Axe 2. And I'm not sure how to tell. I always forget. I believe there's a way to tell, but you might have to check the manual or something. Alien Storm, 9,000 yen. That's a great game. Darius 2 for 4,300 yen. And you'll notice that quite a few of the games have like 10% off, 20% off, 500 yen discount. Like this Dai Makaimura. And it's because of the sun fading. Then they had Bare Knuckle 2, 8,800 yen with a 1,000 yen discount. Could be missing the manual. What else do we have? Mega Panel. Kind of a puzzle game. And then Sonic Drift, 5,800 yen. Now, to pay for some of these games, I recently outrun 6,800 yen. I recently unloaded my entire Sega Game Gear game collection. I still have the actual portable unit complete in the box. But here we have Thunderhawk for the Mega CD. What's that price? 2,000 yen. I do like that cover. That's a pretty cool cover there. But anyhow, going back to the Game Gear, I got rid of all the software. Dynamite Deca 2, 3,500 yen. I had this in my basket. After I started filming, I grabbed the basket and I had it in there, but I did not pick it up. Code Veronica there. But I do want that. I don't know. Dynamite Deca. I have it on the Sega Saturn. Awesome game. Part 2. I owned it a few years ago. Crazy Taxi 2 for 2,000 and some change, or 2,000. It was less expensive by about 600 yen compared to the other Momotaro Kingdom. And then Godzilla Generation for 1,300 yen. I'm really curious about that one. I had a great time playing and still playing the Super Famicom fighting game version. Here we have Psychic Force 2012. I believe the PS1 also got the sequel or the first one. And I think the PS1 may actually have two versions. We have a KOF 99 Dream Match. Vampire Chronicle for 4,700 yen. But a great little selection of Sega Dreamcast games. And, but yeah, Dynamite Deca 2. I'll be in Chiba. I got an extension out there. So I'm going to be out here in freaking Chiba for longer than expected. So there's going to be more opportunities to come and browse some of their, or check out more of their stores and revisit some stores. Here we have 03 for 1,900 yen and Street Fighter 3 World Impact. They had quite a bit of pretty good Capcom fighting games. Well, fighting games in general. Dead or Alive 2 for 1,400 yen. And then what the heck is this? Battle something. I haven't seen that one before. And then Dynamite Deca. They had two copies. And 10% off if you get the one without the Obi card. And then Project Justice for 3,100 yen with the 30% off. Mr. Driller for 1,500. 1,600 for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. A lot of these games. And then Macken X for 700 yen. I also was thinking about that one. I have beaten it, the North American version, which is why I decided not to get it. I mean, 700 yen, that's beer money, y'all. What else do we have here? 1,000 yen for this Marionette Handler. Kind of like a strategy action game? I don't know. I haven't seen that one either. Blue Stinger, 800 yen. Love it for its campiness. And then Prismatilization. Probably mispronounced that, but again, one of those more adult-rated games. Fighting Vipers 2 for 2,000 and some change. That's a great little fighting game on the on the Dreamcast, but a very good selection of Dreamcast games, especially for, being into fighting games and action games. We got Vampire Hunter there for 600 yen. Now we're on the Sega Saturn, which, this, I do want this Ultraman fighting game, 3,800 yen. I'm so curious about it. And the more, how it goes, the more, when you start looking up a game, you start building a narrative in your head, and then all of a sudden, you want it. And sometimes when you play it, you're either very happy or disappointed. But curiosity. Here's another adult rated game, 18 years or older is what that's saying. We got Gun Griffin, Gunblaze S. I believe that's a fighting game. Not really sure what this Capcom game is all about with the little girl in the train. I think it's kind of like an interactive FMV-ish type of game. And oh man, what do we have here? I haven't seen this before. Jung Rhythm. Some kind of dancing game. It looks like it's Heihachi there in the back. But Jung Rhythm, I haven't heard of this one before. Maybe I have seen it before, but it's just one that, since that's not my cup of tea, it's easy to forget. Then we got KOF 95 with the ROM cart, 3,000 yen. Next to KOF 96, probably coming in at a similar price point. And another type of puzzle game. This one could be, I don't know, kind of interesting. It looks like it's a 2D one. Sometimes I wonder about those games because they could have pretty good music. Street Fighter Collection there for 1,900. Street Fighter the movie, 2,700 yen. I believe, isn't there a new movie in the works? Daytona USA for 700. Next to D. Then we got Magic Knight Ray Earth, 2,100 yen. I was quite surprised that this game was originally released in Japan in 95. But in the States, we got it it was like one of the last games, if not the final one. Marvel Superheroes and Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter. Not a bad prices on those. That one's coming in at 3,800 yen. And a lot of these games, these Capcom fighting games on both the Dreamcast and the Saturn, I think they have seen 1,800 there for Fantasy Zone, but I think they have seen an overall price drop just because of the recent compilation releases, and maybe here we have Princess Crown, 8,300 yen, but maybe there's just a lack of interest overall. Biohazard for 1,400 yen. So there's in the mix, there's the pricing seems to be all over. 700 there for Virtua Fighter with the Obi card. So there are some very affordable games in the stacks, and then we have Dragon Master Silk or whatever the heck that is. And as we keep making our way lower, more platforms. PC Engine is coming up next. We got Last Bronx, 800 yen with the Obi card. That's a great little fighting game. And what the heck is this? This is Magical Drop 3. Haven't played this series before. Kind of getting into the puzzle genre. I've gotten into the puzzle genre more as I have gotten older. And man, it's like Twitch reflexes. You got to be on your toes when playing those games. Riglord Saga 2. 500 yen. I believe the original name in North America was Mystara or something like that. And then they changed the name. All of a sudden, it went back to like Riglord Saga. Spriggan Mark II for 7,900 yen. And then we have this Sailor Moon for 1,000 yen. Now, this was at the Kinshicho Book Off, and they were asking for like 2,800 yen. So that's quite a bit of a difference. And then Cosmic Fantasy or something 4. I believe those got a Switch re-release. And then a lot of these, like Gunbuster, I have no idea what this stuff's about. But, off and on through the stacks here, there is a lot of like adult-rated games. And then this is like, what is this? I've seen this game before. Kind of an interesting cover there with the cigarette. The good old PC Engine. I actually picked up a title yesterday. I've been doing some damage on the PC Engine collection. We got some Ballast, and then, what is this? Ultra Box. Could this be another demo disc? But of a different series? Yeah, Ultra Box again. Looks like those are demo discs, because they have like Volume 2, Volume 5. Super Darius, 2,800 yen. Vigilante, 4,600 yen. That's kind of a hardcore cover, especially in today's day and age. Dragon Spirit for 1,300 yen. That's a pretty good deal. I recently picked up Dragon Saber And I got it at the Surugaya in Konosu. Then we have Pac-Land there. And we got some sports title by these Namco games. And then Valkyrie there for 5,500 yen. Was that 50% off? That went a little bit too fast, but we got Bomberman, 2,700 yen. But that Valkyrie, that's a great game. I do have the PS1 port as well as the Hamster's Arcade Archive release. And the North American Namco Museum collection that 3,000 there for Street Fighter Championship Edition. But that Valkyrie, it did get an English translation, but only in the the Namco Museum Volume Pack 4 or something in North America, and that one's expensive. Last I checked, Gradius there for 6,000. But not a bad selection there of PC Engine games. We got some Ranma games on the CD ROM format, and then Final Zone 2. What kind of game is this? Is it a top-down shooter? I've never seen this before, or I don't think I have. At least not holding it like that. Maybe behind the glass, but. And then Nichibutsu. This is like another adult-rated game. 10% off. 10% off. Let's check out some Super Famicom here. And I'll be bouncing back in between sections. And again, this is a deep dive because this store, we got Gambare Goemon 2 for 6,100 yen. I do have a copy of that. I paid 2,000 yen for mine, but mine's mangy. And then this part, that Gambare Goemon game was like a 96 release, but it's like a party type of game. And then we got Super Bonk there. Those games are kind of weird on the Super Famicom. I wasn't really feeling it. I'd rather just stick to the PC Engine versions. And then we got some Cho Makai Mura. Now this game, some stores will have like just stacks of this game. That's a legendary game too. And then we have Super Adventure Island 2. Now this one has like light RPG elements, which is why I don't really care to play it. Tiny Toon Adventures, 9,700 yen. I recently beat that one in the States, the North American version. And I was kind of let down by it. With all what's his name, Plucky Duck being the antagonist there. What do we have? Final Fight, 6,000 yen. And what the heck is this? Militia for 1,500 yen. Kind of reminds me of the cover of Robot Jockey. Y'all remember that movie? And then we have Pinocchio, 5,000 yen with a 10,000 yen discount. Actually, yeah, I kind of 4,000 yen for that. That's not bad. I'm after all those Capcom Super Famicom games and old Pinocchio. Rockman X2 for 8,700 yen. And what do we have here? Same price there, 500 yen discount. Got to be careful with these games. And we got Rockman 7 here. How much is this bad boy? 8,000 yen. 1,000 yen discount. But again, a lot of these games are available on modern platforms, even as platforms from the 6th generation, PlayStation 2, Ranma 1/2, 3,600 yen. I do want this fighting game. I used to have a hard battle for this one here for 3,200 yen. And I remember the fighting was actually not that bad. And I remember liking the music as well. I remember picking up my copy at KB Toys for 20 bucks. Such a goofy cover for the North American version too. Now let's take a look at some hardware. We got an FZ10 for 35,000 yen. Now I feel the FZ10 has seen a price increase for whatever reason. We got a Neo Geo CD for 28,000, 10,000 for the GameCube. N64s coming in at 10,000, 7,000 respectively. The legendary OG Xbox for 22,000. We got a Duo R. What's the price on this guy? 30,000 yen with some notes. We got a Mega Drive 2 for 45,000. Actually, that's a Mega CD 2. That one's steadily climbing. I recently, like a few months ago, I got rid of my Mega CD 2 in favor of just keeping the Mark 1 version. 9,000 there for, what the heck is this one? Is this the Cool Blue Ice? To me, it looks like it's greenish. I don't know. Maybe I'm colorblind, but that thing don't look blue. Here we have, what is this? An Imagineer pad for the Super Famicom. I believe that one did get a North American release, that controller there. And GameCube controllers. What's the price on these? What's the damage? Like 1,500 yen. Here's another one. 1,000 yen. That's not too bad. It's not bad at all. What else do we have? Sega Saturn. I didn't dig too much there through the controllers. The Wii U, 800 for a 360. That's sold as junk. 7,000 and 15,000 for the Wii U. Now the boxed Wii U units, they're kind of like all over the map with the pricing, but I feel like it's gradually increasing. But you can still find the Wii U. You know, there's so many hard op junk sections have so many. The Orange Spice Cube was 12,000 and the 20,000 for the Neo Geo CD top loader. And then we have this beautiful translucent smoke Sega Saturn for 30,000 yen. Now this is, I believe this is not the This Is Cool edition. A little bit of a mouthful there, but I think that's just the standard one, which is actually what I prefer. I don't know about that. This Is Cool. That kind of writing kind of ruins it. But the Off-World Interceptor for the 3DO, I was also thinking about that one, and Crash and Burn. Crash and Burn, that was like the launch title for the 3DO. Nova Storm, I believe the PlayStation 1 has a port of that, and it could be better. And this is a role-playing game. They also had Ultraman, which I'm kind of curious. Right here we go, 2,400 yen. I'm also curious about this one. I'm pretty much with the 3DO, I pretty much have everything I want, but every now and then I pick up a title I'm curious about. Silent Hill 2, 4,400 yen. That's probably like the best cover in my opinion of that game. And then SNK versus Capcom 2, EO, Guilty Gear XX for 1,200 yen. That. And then the Punisher, the North American edition for 7,000 yen, which is about in line what you would expect to pay in the States, more or less. And what do we have? Dinosaur Hunting, 8,800 yen. I think that might be a light gun game. I do have the light gun now for the Xbox, but I still need to make some. I haven't had time to repair it just because I've been so busy with work. Dino Crisis 3 takes place in space, 2,500 yen. And Far Cry Instincts, look at this, 1,800 yen. This is the North American version. And I have to admit, I had no idea that Far Cry was released for the original Xbox. I thought it was just PC, and then after that, you know, just getting the multi-platform releases for 7th generation consoles. 2,000 yen for Maximum Chase. That's a great game, so fun. Red Dead Revolver for 5,000. It's a bit pricey for that one. I haven't played it, but it's far, far different from the newer releases. But yeah, back to this Punisher. I was thinking that it would be more expensive in the States. At least it was for a while, but it's definitely seen a price drop. But a lot of PlayStation 1, a lot of PS2, PlayStation Vita, PSP, and the DS. What the heck is this? Some butterfly pachinko game? Let's go some PS1. We got Rockman Dash or Legend for 2,000 yen. That game is so great. It's so funny too. I don't know what the heck this is. Looks like another adult rated game for 2,400 yen. And then we got Metal Slug, 3,000 yen. It's a great game. The port on the PS1, it leaves a bit to be desired, but it is what it is. We got Metal Gear Solid Integral. That does include full English language options. And then look at this dog and cat game, Moto something Wonder 2. So many games on the PS1. But we're going to skip that section. We'll be back to it just because there was a few people shopping there and I didn't want to disturb them with my big old camera. So we'll check out some Game Boy Advance titles. We got Sonic Advance coming in at 9,000 yen. This game is all over the map, again, with the pricing. I remember seeing it for like 2,000 at the Ojamakan in Kobe. And then here we got some Mario Advance games, 4,500 yen there for Mario Advance 2. And what else we got? What else? We got some Mario Kart Advance for 3,300 yen with a 20% discount. But it is cool that they had that many Game Boy Advance games like in the box, you know, considering that they're cardboard even in Japan. That's could be a tough thing to take care of. Let's take a look at some Switch titles. And that gave you a little taste there of how big this location is. But what do we have here? We got some Switch 2. Donkey Kong Bonanza, 7,700 yen. And then Balan Wonder World, 1,200 yen by old Yuji Naka. I wonder if he's still in jail for like insider trading. El Shaddai, 2,300 yen. And then Eastward for 2,600 yen. I do have a copy of Eastward, and I'm looking forward to playing it. 3,800 yen for the Skullfang Wolfang Saturn Tribute Series by City Connection. And then Stalker, the Final Zone. This looks like a first-person shooter. 4,200 yen. I do like my first-person shooters, and I haven't played one in a while. So I might be overdue for some more first-person shooting action. What else do we have here? This is kind of a cool cover. It has like the Sailor Moon vibe. 4,000 yen for this Yuno. But it looks like it's a visual novel type of game, so not really my cup of tea. What else do we have? Like this baseball. Is this a baseball game? 4,000 yen? Like maybe like a RPG of sort. It looks like a baseball, but it's not baseball. I don't know what the heck that is. In fact, I don't know what the heck a lot of these games are. The Switch library is so vast now. And I'm just usually stuck with the retro compilations with a few, with the dash of a few first party releases. But as you can see, they have all the first party stuff. We got this Sega Saturn wireless phone charger for $39.60. Now back to the PS1 section. We got this Konami board game. No clue what it's about. Not really into video game board games. And then we got some Magical Drop 3, 1,800 yen. I believe the Saturn version... actually, I don't know. I think both of them were like double packs. Area 51, 1,800 yen. I picked this up, man. This is one that I don't often see. And I remember going to an arcade by the name of Tilt at the now gone, defunct Blue Mountain Mall in Walla Walla, Washington. And I was playing the heck out of it. X-Men Mutant Academy, that's a great one. Echo Knight and its sequel. Now, I didn't dig too deep through the PS1. Here we have Angel Blade, Neo Tokyo Guardians. Could be kind of like a Magic Knight Ray Earth type of game, but a lot of games for the PS1, and I didn't really dig all that deep. Here we have Dracula or Symphony of the Night there for 7,300 yen. Exciting Bass 3 for 1,900 yen. They also had Sega Bass Fishing 2 for the Dreamcast, which I kind of overlooked. And that's one that I don't often see as well. Here we got Samurai Showdown 3 for 800 yen. A very cool cover, but that port leaves a lot to be desired. We have Starfighter 3000 for 2,000. And what else we have here? 2,500. This is like a shooting game. I do have a copy of that. And it also has a sequel, and the sequel to that, far, far more expensive. We have the Twin Bee Deluxe Pack. What else do we have? We got some Dino Crisis there. And Street Fighter EX Plus Alpha, 800 yen. And again, I don't know what this is, but it looks like it's some kind of like action RPG. Something Kingdom. Embrace in the Sand. By Idea Factory, at least published by Idea Factory. Embracing this, I've never seen that. What else we got here? Power Dolls 2 for 2,800 yen. What kind of game is that? That could be like a strategy RPG, maybe. They also had Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Now, I will release an Instagram post that'll complement this video. That'll show a few other different things that I didn't film on camera. Then Gege no Kitaro, 2,500 yen. We got another Konami Shooter Deluxe pack there. There's so many of them. There's like 5, I think, in total, if I'm not mistaken. PS2. Check out this game, 3,000 yen. This kind of reminds me of the Switch game Unpacking, but it's totally different. The PS2, that's another... The Sony and Nintendo stuff, man. So many games. And, yeah, just a lot to explore. PS2. I recently sold the ceramic white PS2 in favor of the midnight PS2. I still have my 1000 model, and I have the Slim. I have a North American Slim 77,000 and a 90,000 Slim Japanese unit. And here's another, what the heck is this? Like a pachinko game for 800 yen. There's so many of those games. With Cotton and Akira being probably the bigger pachinko type games on the PS2. Then we have Rumble Roses for 900 yen. What else do we have here? We got some Fantasy Zone Complete Collection for 7,200 yen. Then Final Fantasy X X2 The Ultimate Box. And it includes the DVD with another story. I don't know if I've seen that before, that box set. Virtua Fighter 10th Anniversary. Great game, 1,500 yen. And then Dororo. I used to have that, but I got rid of it. And then Love of Prince, Bitter Chocolate. Visual novel, it looks like. What else do we have in here? Fighting Jam, 500 yen. That's also a part of the Capcom Fighting Game Collection Volume 2. Kingsfield 4, 3,500 yen. And we got some Outrun Act. Look at the price on this, 7,700 yen. But that's about normal next to Curse of Darkness for 3,100 yen. I believe this, I have not confirmed, but I believe this game has full English language options. Lament of Innocence for the PS2, the Japanese version, does have full English. And a lot of the Konami games of, those action games, with the exception of Metal Gear Solid, did include full English language. Or I should say, I think Metal Gear Solid 3 was the only one that didn't have full English language. What the heck is this? Wizardry for the PS3, 6,300 yen. I do like the covers, the cover art to the Wizardry games. But that's some hardcore RPG strategy type of stuff. I'm not going to mess with that. What else do we have? We got the Third Birthday there. And then we got something by Capcom. And this seems kind of interesting. 5,800 yen. But it looks like another type of role-playing game. What else do we have here? PSP, PS Vita, Star Fox 64, 3D, 1,200 yen. And for the PlayStation Vita, I think the last game that I really want for it is going to be that Silent Hill Book of Memories. I do like those top-down Diablo-like games, and Silent Hill, I know a lot of people were upset about the cash grab, but, it's not really... I just want to play, just want to experience it. Freaking Silent Hill Book of Memories. Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories. That's the North American release. And look at this game with the shovel. 2,700 yen. What came first, this or Shovel Knight? This has a 2007 year, so maybe that predates Shovel Knight. And look at this Grand Trucker for the DS. And then Elite Beat Agents, 4,000 yen. This is the North American release. Wasn't expecting to find that one in the stacks. Again, I think that's like a rhythm-based game, so it's not really my kind of thing. But now, guys, this is where things get real serious. The Jetsons, Cogswell's Caper for 180,000. Rockman, 160,000. Raft World for 30,000. They had some hardcore Famicom games in stock. And this Dorora, something like that, 86,000. I do like that cover. I don't know what kind of game that is. They had Kirby for 5,500 yen. So they have some that are with pricing that's a little bit more down to earth. We got Rockman. What is that? 8,600 yen. We got all the Namco or Namcot releases. And then look at this, 250,000. But you do get 500 yen off. Something to think about. 160,000 for Adventure Island 4. Man. Donald Duck, 2,500 yen, 10% off. I'll stick to that. 74,000 there for, what's that? Toachiki, something like that. Is that the publisher? And then what is this? Over Horizon, 250,000. I believe this is a part of the collection of the Steel Empire recent release for the Switch, which Strictly Limited Games is taking forever. The Japanese version is already out. We have Akumajo in the cart for 100,000. But there's some serious Famicom Hardcore titles in here. Premium stuff. Super premium. Yeah, look at this. Look at that cool cover. 86,000. Doropo, something like that. And then Gunnak and Lickle, or Little Samson, 190,000, 31,000 for Gunnak. I recently saw Gunnak at a book off, and it was about like 6,000 yen less expensive. We got the PSP Go for 17,000. 8,000. Prices are all over, but they do have like a goldish PSP in the back there, which I will post on Instagram. 15,000 for the PlayStation Vita 2000 model. I think it was missing the USB cable. 87,000 for the Series X. It was 47,000 at the previous Momotaro Kingdom. Might and Magic there, back to the Famicom. But my goodness, quite a bit of hardcore Famicom titles. But you know, I didn't look at everything, and even though some stuff was higher priced than the previous Momotaro Kingdom, there were a few things that were still quite reasonable. Like that Turtles in Time loose cart, 2,500, and I ended up picking that up because getting it complete in the box is super expensive. Anyhow, more to come. Ciao.